The camera begins and zooms in on the face of the Bloodsworn Marama. As the camera rotates 180 degrees to be behind Marama and see from her point of view, time also rewinds, and we see the moment where she clashed with Cassidy McCabe right outside of this cave where the altar is amid the shipwrecks in this cove. She was so close. She'd caught her. She'd cut her. She felt that blood hot on her fingers, promising relief from this cursed vow, if only for a little while. Instead, where her fingers felt warmth with scarlet salvation, her heart was frozen, seizing her chest, holding her in place. She could not move a muscle. That spindly mouse of a girl, of a street informant, just stepped back, smirked, looked over Marama's shoulder. She was speaking with someone else, but there was no one else here. What was wrong with this girl? But then, Marama felt something. A presence moved through her, spreading that paralyzing cold. And then she saw a face in the spray of the waves. No, not the sea spray. Mist? What was this? I am so sorry they did this to you, the spirit said. You did not deserve this, and I would like you to trust that we are trying to help you and those like you. Please, give us time. Marama tried to speak, but it came out as spittle and chattering teeth. It's all right. Just think it. I can feel your heart. My name is Lee Sterling. Marama's mind reeled. Sterling? Like that Inquisitor brat that caused the church elders so much stress? How was he involved in this? How much had gotten out? Oh, I see you know my brother. Well, we never really saw eye to eye, but I'd be lying if I said he wasn't the good one of us two. Marama, is it? Please, try to remember. Can you show me who's behind these terrible vows? Marama gritted her teeth and glared at this illusion. What poison, what venom, what cheap trick had this waif pulled off? She was not going to reveal anything to these purveyors of minor chaos. She served those who truly sought to break the Dominion. We're going to roll an oracle and see whether or not Marama inadvertently thinks and imagines whoever it is behind this. We're going to say it's 50-50. That is a 97. That is an emphatic no. Try as he might, Lee Sterling holds Marama's heart, feels the corrupt vow coursing within her blood, beyond any vow sworn on bondstone, sworn on iron weapons, sworn in any of the old ways. Something about this has pervaded Marama's entire being and existence. This is why she is fueled by a wrath, vengeance. Lee continues to smile at Marama and attempt to coax her into talking, but she stands there with an iron will, staring at this ghost and trying to piece together what she has missed. And before long, Cassidy has cleansed the altar, and this area, this domain within which Sky Iron becomes cursed in the heart of the Dominion, shrinks once again, and now no longer encompasses these cursed individuals known as the Bloodsworn. I'm going to roll Pay the Price to see how this affects Marama and the two others that are living. That is a 100. You're going to roll twice. I feel like I roll a lot of 100s. 51. A friend, companion, or ally is in harm's way, or you are, if alone, and this goes for all the Bloodsworn, and the other 84. You are stressed. In this moment, all of the Bloodsworn's eyes go wide. They stand there and they go rigid. Not just Marama in the clutches of Lee Sterling's ghostly grasp, but all of them almost go catatonic and no longer are responding. Elsewhere in the Dominion, an ally of the Bloodsworn is now in danger. And that ally happens to be in the capital city of Carcordia, near the Senate, where they have taken Senator Minos. The camera shows an immense underground opening, a cave that opens up, and there is extensive construction activity going all around, surveying tunnels, widening them, mining, etc. But this is the ruin beneath the capital city of Carcordia, and when Cassidy cleanses this altar and alters the shape of this cursed domain, something within stirs. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ironsworn, Sundered Isles, Season 2, Heart of the Dominion. It's June. That's crazy to me. Time is a funky soup. It's going to be a simple month. We're going to do 2 episodes of Ironsworn, weeks 1 and 3, and we are going to do 2 episodes of Perspective Checks on weeks 2 and 4. I was lucky enough to sit down with 2 other great interview podcast hosts. One was Matt Calder of the What You Doin' podcast, and we talk all about kind of boosting other projects and creators in the TTRPG space because they all deserve way more eyes on their products and their hard work and their incredible games. So we talked a lot about just boosting people's passions, letting people talk and get excited about the things they're making. And then the other interview is with Adrian and Alex of the Dungeons and Degrees podcast, which is an excellent podcast of conversations between Adrian, Alex, and their guests about literally anything and how it intersects with nerdy culture and life in the community. And we talked about how to find your place in the community. It's one thing to realize you like this thing, but it's another to find your people within the community. And that can be hard, especially if you are in a place where there's not a lot of options to do that. And online is also not necessarily always the best place to find groups because the internet can suck. So I hope that you enjoy these episodes as they come out, and hopefully just having to edit a couple of interviews is going to give me enough time to get Mech out. I know I'm very late on this. I'm sorry. I finished my city. I'm working on Rosso's city now. I think they're much better than the intro city. It's also made me go and back and look at the intro city for Mech, and I think that there are some big problems there I would love to fix, but I kind of just got to get these ones out, and layout is just not my thing. So I'm trying my best, and just hopefully you enjoy it. They will be free when they come out, so if you want to play them, honestly, email me, and we'll get you Mech. But enough about all that. Let's play some Ironsworn, because I need to know what happens now. The episode proper opens with Cassidy and the crew of the Revenant hauling and stowing the Bloodsworn aboard the Revenant itself. They have fallen into some kind of catatonic fever dream. They are running very, very warm. They are shivering and saying things that don't make any sense, and I think that everyone is very worried about what is happening. The first thing I'm going to roll for is we're going to roll, and we're going to have to do this anyway, but I think immediate attention is going to go to these Bloodsworn. Not that necessarily the crew of the Revenant has any sympathy for them. They do seem to have been hunting down these people, but the more we can keep them alive, the more we might be able to talk to them, and we know that Lee can hold them in a way. So I think that Cassidy and the crew of the Revenant are going to provide medical treatment. So we are going to roll the heal move, and when you're providing care, you roll plus wits. So we have a decent chance of rolling okay on this. This is +2. I think I'm going to take the haunted asset and take +1 from it because Lee Sterling has insight about what is going on inside of these Bloodsworn, though we may not realize this has anything to do with the shrinking of that cursed domain over the heart of the Dominion. So let's go ahead and roll. We're going to roll +3, +2 for our wits, and +1 for our haunted asset. Here goes. Okay, that is actually a strong hit. That is a 5 +3 against a 4 and a 6 on the challenge dice. So a strong hit says the care is helpful. Effectively, you can clear impacts or give +2 health or give +3 health. I don't think this is going to make them good to go. Like, we haven't cured them. They're definitely suffering from some kind of affliction, but I think that we buy them some time and get them at least in a sort of less frantic, fever shiver sort of state. So then I think Cassidy and the crew, I think we need to have a scene with Asana and Damaris Iver, who nearly came to terrible injury in that fight against the Bloodsworn, as well as Quan, who is still broken at the moment. So lots of things are going to need to happen, and we're going to get it all in this episode. Some downtime, bookkeeping, connection stuff. The first thing is going to be a scene with, let's go with both Asana and Damaris Iver, because they were the ones who immediately saw Cassidy stumbling out of this cave. She has 1 health at the moment. She is down 2 spirit. She is looking so rough, but she came out in a strange, subverted expectations. She seems happy. And as she begins to explain it to Asana and Damaris, they look at one another incredibly worried. Asana says something like, "Cass, you are pushing yourself way too hard. You are not going to walk out of one of these if you keep throwing yourself into these crazy situations. We need to come up with better plans. We need to work together." And Damaris says, "We need to contact our associates in the Ebb. The new information we have, what they may know, we need to make contact. However, I understand your contact." And he looks over at the inert metal frame of Quan, and he says, "Appears to be silenced at the moment. We're going to need to find a way to make contact. I have a few ideas. I've done this in the past, but they typically don't like conspicuous calls for aid. Typically, they're the ones doing the contacting." And Cassidy says, "Yeah, we're gonna need to lay low for a little bit. We should definitely get back to a city. I need to rest, and we need to get some answers." And I think that we see her just swaying on her feet, and not because shallow waters in this shipwreck cove. But speaking of the ship in this cove, now that this domain has once again shrunk, and we appear to no longer be within it, hence why the Bloodsworn are reacting the way they are, we said the Revenant, similarly, does not like being outside of this cursed domain. Something about it does not function particularly well. We're going to do 2 quick things, as Cassidy is going to set a course for a safe harbor and see if maybe we put 2 and 2 together that we need to get somewhere within that sort of ruinous domain. But we're going to set a course to get somewhere where we can hopefully sojourn. And then I'm going to roll for the moons until I get a 10. And we are going to have a scene with who Cassidy calls the captain, the spirit bound and cursed to the Revenant itself. So here goes. We're going to set a course. When you travel a known route through perilous seas, roll plus supply. I think it's supposed to be hold. If it's supply, I'm only rolling +2. If it's hold, I'm +5. Let's see. Does not matter either way, because that is a 5 on the action die, +2 or 5, against a 1 and a 3 on the challenge dice for a strong hit. On a strong hit, you reach your destination and the situation there favors you. Take +1 momentum. Which brings us up to 9, which feels wrong, but maybe. I did do some easy, troublesome things last time. So lots of momentum. This makes sense, right? We're feeling good. We've cleansed a second altar. It was dangerous. It was not great. But not only that, we also have some known enemies with information on board, and they are not in a state to really fight back. So if we can get back, get some rest, and make contact with people who might be able to get us answers, this could be a good thing. Cassidy's going in beat up, but maybe more optimistic than she's been in a long time. We don't know about the fate of Senator Minos and what is going on in the Capitol with the Senate, but let's go ahead and roll for the moons and see when we get a full moon on this journey back to interact with our ship itself. Wait until we get a 10. Here goes. Just keep going. Oh, there it is. A 10 on Cinder. Okay. This makes sense. I don't think he's going to be very happy. As a reminder, the reason I did this is that one of the quest starters we chose says, your ship is haunted by its former captain. At night, on full moons, they can be seen on the quarterdeck staring grimly at the distant horizon. What unfulfilled vow torments this restless spirit? Why do you now swear to see it done? And if you recall, our vow there is to bring the Revenant to the Razor Isle, the cursed island in the center of the heart of the Dominion, a destroyed reminder of the Sundering itself, the cataclysm that sparked this generations-long war that the Dominion have won. Never has it been reclaimed because it is known to be cursed, and for some reason, the Revenant wants us to take it there. We have not spoken to who Cassidy calls the captain in a long time. I think it was like episode 2 was the last time we rolled a 10, so we could actually speak to the captain, and in that episode, she said, I'm sorry, I cannot do this right now. We have other pressing matters. It was the jailbreak for Damaris Iver, and the captain was not happy then. What is going to happen now? I'm going to roll Test Your Relationship. When your relationship with a connection is tested through conflict, betrayal, or circumstance, roll plus heart. If you share a bond, roll +1. We do not have a bond, we are just a connection at the moment, so we are rolling plus heart, which is not a good stat. That is only +1. Here goes. Oh no. That is a 2 +1 versus 2 6s on the challenge dice for a miss. I could burn momentum to turn this into a strong hit with a match. Is it worth it on this? Let's read what Miss says. You can either lose the connection or prove your loyalty, swearing a new iron vow, formidable or greater. Now, technically, we have not sworn an iron vow for the Revenant. We technically considered it basically like a pseudo background vow. But if we turn this into a strong hit with a match, we can develop our relationship, putting another 2 ticks because, oh my goodness, I made the rank of this extreme. What was I thinking? I'm never going to move that thing up there. So that would only bring us to like 2.5 boxes. And you know what, honestly? This feels like more of a miss. And I think we're playing Ironsworn. Let's swear a damn iron vow, right? Come on, we got to do that. So it says here, double down, prove your loyalty. We're going to swear a new iron vow in this scene. I think Cassidy wakes up after an incredibly long nap, and she wakes up at night, right? The crew has been sailing this ship. It has not been very responsive. They are having a lot of trouble. The Revenant itself outside of this cursed domain is bucking and resisting a lot of what is going on. It is kind of trying to set its own course, and I think that we rolled a strong hit on set a course, so I think that Asana is, as first mate, kind of just going with the ship. She says if this is where it wants to go, you know what? We're not in a super rush, we just need to get somewhere safe. Follow its bearing, let's do this. And when Cassidy comes up, it is dark, cloudless night, stars shining in the sky, a full cinder, that ruddy orange. She goes up to the quarterdeck, limping, tired, and she sees the captain. And without turning around, the figure growls. "I beg you, please, bring me." Cassidy gently walks over to the quarterdeck, leaning on the railing, and she says, "I know. And I think I'm only making it worse, but we can't go yet." "Why? What prevents you from simply sailing to that island and letting me go?" "Captain, I know you don't remember who you are, but we're getting close to something very big. And I think you may be an early casualty in what we're hoping to fix. Please, can you give us more time?" "Something is wrong." The ship is groaning. You can hear the wood bend and groan against the waves. And Cassidy looks and says, "These islands, I don't know if they were protected or why somebody would do this, but we found corrupt altars, sacrifices which have caused sky iron, otherwise one of the most potent, important materials, to our people. It corrupts all who touch it, all who swear on it, our lives, our customs, our promises, our blood. It corrupts it. I think it's affecting you too. But if we can cleanse them all, I don't know what it'll mean for you, but I promise, I will deliver you to that island. Just get me to these other altars first." "I owe you nothing. You found me. You took me. We swore in blood. Is that not greater than whatever it is you're doing?" The pain in this otherwise ghostly emanation surprises Cassidy. And she says, "I swear it, and I will again." And Cassidy's going to take out her dirk, and she's going to show the captain this powerful enchantment that allows her to dispel the curse on these altars. And I think that in a rare reaction from him, normally he doesn't move at all. He just stares to the horizon. But his head turns and sees it, and he recoils. And Cassidy says, "Listen, I will swear it. I will swear it again." And she cuts her hand, and she places it on the railing right next to where the captain is standing on the quarterdeck. I went back and listened, and we did at one point swear an iron vow to the Revenant. We even rolled a strong hit on it. And then I got caught up in a flashback and thought about some other things, and we never really discussed it. So what I'm going to say is we are going to up the difficulty to match the connection. It is going to be extreme. I am going to put it at the same as I have the connection right now. I'm going to put it at 2 boxes full, and we are going to re-swear this iron vow. And we have a connection with the Revenant, so we're going to roll +1, so this is +2. Oh man. That is a 2 + 2 against a 5 and a 6 on the challenge dice for a miss. I think the Revenant does not care for the world of humans any longer. Something about the gift, the boon from the Isle of Namira, shook the captain. On a miss, you must overcome a significant obstacle before you begin your quest. Envision what stands in your way. Well, I think the obvious answer is that we need to get more information from the ebb, but that's not what I think this is asking. I think that there's an obstacle to overcome before we even begin doing what the Revenant asks, which is bring it to the Razor Isle. And I think we're going to go with this. Cassidy's tampering with this cursed domain area is causing anyone and anything that has been sworn or created on this cursed sky iron to suffer to varying degrees. And I think that the Razor Isle remains like a beacon or battery of this cursed energy. However, now that the domain, the field around it, is unstable, I think that approaching the Razor Isle is not even an option right now. I think something is happening. Should we roll for cursed weather? Ooh, that is what I'm going to do. We didn't realize this, but as Cassidy is setting her course and the Revenant is sailing back towards either Crania or one of these other islands where they can meet up with an ebb contact, we see in the distance near the Razor Isle cursed weather. And it does not appear to be a passing storm. We're just going to roll a D100 and see what the Razor Isle is now doing. Let's see. 85. Oh, it's so good. Seeking spouts. Water spouts and tornadoes move with deadly purpose all around the Razor Isle now. That will be the obstacle we must overcome to even begin making progress once again on delivering the remains of the Revenant, ship or person, to the Razor Isle. Damn, this is getting crazy here at the end. I think we have like 2 or 3 episodes left in this. How am I going to tie it all together? Let's just real quick roll Sojourn. I think that we rolled strong hit on our set of course, so we arrive no problem. Situation favors us. We're up to 9 momentum, which I could have and probably should have burned, but I think the miss felt more right on that test your connection. So we are going to just roll on Sojourn. Here goes. Oh, solid. Okay, finally. That's a good one. That is a 5 + 1 for a 6 against a 4 and a 5 on the challenge dice. So that is a strong hit on Sojourn, which was going to allow us to catch a little bit up in our tracks here. We find safe refuge. We can choose 2 recover moves and assume an automatic strong hit for each. So for Cassidy, that is going to be health and spirit. We're not so worried about the supply at the moment. She is used to working with not a whole lot as a spy. So on a strong hit for heal, we take 3 health up to 4. And then same for hearten. We're going to take 3 spirit back up to full there, because while it does not seem like she should be in full spirits, I think that the promise is there. And speaking of, let's roll just randomly to see what island we find this refuge on. I still have a list up here. We have an island known as Vash's Blade we have not been to, which is interesting. Oh, we have. This was the place where the Sularia live. They are the tenders and bonded folks with large marine creatures. So there's that. There is Nuboka, which is the smallest of the islands where the Explorers Guild and the Cynosure Society are. That would be an interesting place to go because that is where Drake McCabe is. We can go back to the largest island of Kyros, or we can, well, we're not going to the Razor Isle. So I'm going to roll a d6. 1 or 2 is Vash's Blade, and we'll go back to the Sularia. 3 or 4 is Nuboka, and we will meet with Cynosure Society and Explorers Guild folks. That would be new and interesting. Or Kyros, which has multiple options for us. 3, we are going to Nuboka. That is probably the best thing we could have gotten. That's awesome. So a few of the notes I have here from way back in session 0 about Nuboka is that it is the smallest of these islands in the myriads of the Heart of the Dominion. It is rolling verdant woodlands. I think that it is basically a heavily forested island. There's probably some logging and timber harvest and stuff like that comes out of this island. But for the most part, I think that the Explorers Guild and Cynosure Society use this island as research bases, so they prefer it being somewhat inaccessible. We have an inland town known as Chiton Hollow. Population's low, it's in the hundreds, and the industry is simply the Explorers Guild and education in the form of the Cynosure Society. There is earthen architecture. There is a prominent tower or lighthouse. So I think that that's where we're going to see the lighthouse as we are flagging in our just exhaustion here on the Revenant. Everybody on deck is just exhausted. They've been fighting the boat itself because of this change in the domain that is causing it to kind of rebel and fight back, and it's looking for any port in a storm kind of thing. And we get to Nuboka, where it says here the academics are wary of outsiders, the explorers are accepting but strict. There's a lot of secrets here. And I think that I have a detail for every one of these islands, and this one says that there's a bounty hunter hot on the trail of a target on Nuboka. I'm going to shift that a little bit more towards our needs here in this scene, and that is going to be that this isn't a bounty hunter hunting down a target like to capture, prison, bring to justice, etc. I think that this is an ebb contact who is here to get information, and they're closing in on what they're doing, and it's going to strain some relationships because Damaris Iver is going to reach out and make contact and put this whole operation at risk. But our operation needs to be course corrected through the ebb. And of course, Cassidy can look for her brother Drake on this island. Oh my goodness, I didn't even think of this. One of Cassidy's alter egos for her spy asset is Fitz Hadley, Explorer. So maybe she does have the paperwork to get in here through the Explorers Guild, and then Damaris will be able to make contact through some strange form of communication, some kind of drop or something like that, that will notify the ebb contact here. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so we are going to use our path asset that says when you infiltrate a location or event, increase your momentum reset by 1 for the duration of this mission. So our momentum reset is at 3 while we are here in the guise of Fitz Hadley. I think it is only going to be Cassidy as Fitz, Damaris Iver, and I think maybe we can even swing this and bring the broken Quan to see if they can fix it here with the Cynosure Society. Is that too risky? I mean, potentially the ebb contact could also try and fix Quan, but we don't know the details of what happened with the Bloodsworn and how they did this. And of course, obviously Lee is coming. Okay, so we are going to dock the Revenant near the landing of this lighthouse and tower that signals the only way on to the island of Nuboka, where you can get to the settlement of Chitin Hollow, and 2 people are going to get off the ship. Cassidy as Fitz Hadley and Damaris Iver. We are going to leave Quan on the ship, but if we can get someone back to the ship to do repairs, that would be preferable. I'm going to use good old adventure moves, and we are going to do our first one, which is to secure an advantage with deception, stealth, or trickery, rolling plus shadow to get ourselves in here. I think that this isn't an island where a lot of people just stop and people are welcome. There's not going to be a lot of like hospitality here. These are people who are working on probably things that are pretty sensitive information-wise. So unless you're here to join the Explorers Guild as a body that they need, or someone who's qualified as a Cynosure Society researcher, you're going to be turned away or otherwise like kept out of the whole thing. So let's secure an advantage with shadow. Huge. 2 plus 3 versus a 2 and a 3 on the challenge dice for a strong hit. That is going to get us plus 2 momentum, maxing out our momentum, and plus 1 on our next move, which is not a progress move. We are at max plus 10 on momentum, so we are sitting pretty in case we run into something brutal here, and I think that that gets us into the Explorers Guild. Cassidy and Damaris are going to split up a little bit. Cassidy is going to gently ask about other Explorers Guild missions. She knows that her brother was on the Isle of Namira, so maybe we can gather information and see what it was they were looking for there, because we've obviously been there, cleansed the altar, learned a ton, but if we can get some context about what they and the Cynosure Society were doing there, it might let us know what the Dominion is interested in learning about this place. So let's see. Gathering information plus wits. Another good roll. That is a 5 plus 2 for a 7 versus a 2 and an 8 on the challenge dice. So a weak hit says, provides new insight but complicates your quest. We can take +1 momentum. We're already maxed out. Envision what you discover. It complicates our quest. Well, I think that's obvious. I think that... Actually, you know what? This is perfect. How this complicates everything is that everything has changed since Cassidy has cleansed these 2 altars. What the Cynosure Society has been researching, that's why things are so tense right now. Cassidy was able to get in with the Explorers Guild. She has a fake identity, and it is working. People at least recognize the name from paperwork, etc. The Cynosure Society is on high alert because everything they are testing right now is not getting predictable results. Now, in a way, probably better in the long run because the Sky Iron is operating like it's pure. But if what they need it for is to not be pure because they are doing things for this cursed reason, and Cassidy's recent endeavors have really complicated their research. She has thrown a wrench in their variables, and now things are not predictable where they were just a few days or weeks ago. And so she's trying to get answers, but everyone's kind of frustrated. Now let's see about Damaris Iver. We're going to not roll for him, but what we are going to do is we are going to roll to test our relationship with Damaris Iver. He is one of our connections, and we have him at dangerous rank because he's a fellow Ebb contact. But again, there's probably protocols in place that say things along the lines of like, you know, if you meet another one, like deny, 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 like it's all about secrecy. So we're going to test our relationship through conflict, betrayal, or circumstance. I think this is just a tense situation, trying to cold contact another Ebb agent. Like that's bad because you're gonna blow someone's cover, right? So this is gonna be tough. We're gonna roll plus heart, and we do not have a bond, so we're just rolling +1. We do have max momentum, so if it's a good one, let's see. That is a 2 +1 versus a 7 and a 2 on the challenge dice. We get a weak hit with it. We do get to develop our relationship, but a demand or complication happens because of the fallout of this test. I think that feels better. I always prefer a little bit of a complication because it helps me generate something to bounce off of as far as now we need to react to something or fix something. I'm not going to blow our momentum. This 10 is going to be used for something really important, but we develop our relationship with Damaris Iver, putting 2 more boxes on that to getting to a bond. And let's roll up a few things about who we're meeting. I'm going to roll once on the character roles table to see what guise our Ebb contact has assumed. 28 says they are a laborer. Oh, that's clever. They're probably an Explorers Guild, kind of just like body that nobody's going to think twice about talking around as they're moving things. And then let's go ahead and just roll on the moniker for their name. What is their contact name? Oh, almost the same roll. 26 would say that they are Doldrum. That's very funny. Okay, so yeah, this person is like the perfect spy in that they are utterly ignorable and forgettable. They just blend in wallflower status, but they hear things. I think Cassidy can kind of relate to this. A few of her jobs have just been overhearing and eavesdropping. So this person is somewhere in here. So it would be kind of surprising that outsiders come in and want to talk to one of the grunt laborers. Like, what are you doing talking to this guy? So there's going to be a complication from this tested relationship. Why don't we just roll on the story complication table? I'm really enjoying this table. I like all these oracles in the back, obviously. They're nice to just have, even if you're just using it to kind of generate an idea. 57. Resource, equipment, or device is shown to have unexpected effects. Oh. Yup. My first thought is Cassidy's dagger. But it could also be Quan. It could be the Revenant itself. It could be equipment here on the Isle of Nuboka. Maybe this person is like a mechanic and they are no longer able to control the things that were designed and built with this cursed Sky Iron to work a certain way, and they're no longer functioning. And it's hard to make contact, and they are under strict observation to get this thing working again. So I think we're going to do a few things here. I'm going to just keep rolling on the adventure moves. First, we're going to try and make this contact, right? I think that Damaris has found out who this person is, right? They have made the drop. This person has left a note that just says, like, now is not a good time. Don't even think about it. And we are going to roll Compel to persuade someone to do something they normally wouldn't. We are going to do this by, I think, lying or swindling. And that's going to take the form of not lying and swindling them, but doing it to whoever is in charge of this person's kind of like work crew, like their supervisor. And we're going to say like, yeah, no, I brought an expert. We're going to pretend Damaris Iver is like an expert mechanic from the main isle of Kyros. And maybe we can get in close enough to just kind of like work side by side and have like a subtle conversation. And then we are going to compel this person to get us in contact with their contact because we need one. Quan is out of commission and Damaris Iver recently escaped from prison. So he is really not able to kind of like go find people. So let's compel with Shadow. Here goes. Oh, that is a 4 plus 3 against a 4 and a 6 on the challenge dice for a strong hit. They will do what you want or agree to your condition. +1 momentum. I'm wasting all these +1 momentums I'd be getting, but that's huge. They're going to say something like, get out of here. Like, the longer we talk, the more suspicion you're going to bring to me. Here's the person you need to meet. They'll get you sorted out. I don't want to know anymore. Just let me do my job. But we did say we brought a master mechanic in the form of Damaris Iver. So here's the thing is, can we do any kind of work here to repair this kind of machinery that is on the fritz? Fun fact, there is a move called Repair. When you make repairs to your vehicles, modules, mechanical companions, or other devices, envision the situation and roll. If we are making our own repairs or people are doing it, we get to roll plus wits. So that is what we're going to do. We are at port. So here goes. Let's just see if we can get anything going. Plus wits. That is a 3 plus 2 against a 9 and a 2 on the challenge dice for a weak hit. On a weak hit, it just says on a hit, you gain some repair points, and you can do this. Okay, interesting. Additionally, you can sacrifice resources and get additional repair. We're not going to do that. So we're making progress. We do help, but we can say that, you know, something about this is different than the models we're working on the mainland or something like that. But we at least didn't make things worse, so that's good. And now, with a contact name acquired, a sojourn successfully had, some recovery and whatnot happening, the last thing I'm going to roll for is to see if we can find out anything about someone who might be able to help us fix Quan. I think this is going to be a gather information roll. So we're going to do this, again, rolling plus wits. We're going to, let's see. 5 plus 2 against a 1 and a 5 on the challenge dice for a strong hit. Oh my goodness, this is going so well. This does not bode well for next session. On a strong hit, you discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow or action you must take to make progress is made clear. Okay. So maybe, let's just go ahead and wrap this all up neatly. We were just trying to fix a clockwork construct. And they are not working because this cursed domain is no longer a thing. And they were strictly being used as Cynosure Society security. They were these intense, combat-efficient clockwork constructs, and since the cursed domain has been shrinking and is no longer over this place, they are not following those cursed vows that were placed upon them. They are still powered, but no one can figure out how to get them to do anything. So I think that that's the only information we have to go off of, but I think that Cassidy would also know that Senator Minos has in the past said something that reactivated Quan, and Lee has also touched Quan's Sky Iron core and elucidated something about when he had been changed over. So I think that she might have an idea of how to reactivate her friend. And we're closing in on where I think is a good time to end this, so let's go back to the Revenant, and let's see if between Cassidy, Lee, Damaris and all that, we can repair Quan. I know I just rolled repair, and I don't think this one is repair. In fact, I think this is going to be another test your relationship. Which sounds crazy, because it's plus heart. But I think that this is circumstance, and this is... We already have a connection. We've made a connection with Quan. I'm not going to swear an iron vow, but I think that effectively what we're doing here is through our connection, testing it like this. We're going to take a +1 from our haunted asset because Lee is going to be helping us. And I think that Cassidy is going to... We see a scene of her taking a wet cloth and cleaning off the blood that was placed there by the Bloodsworn that caused Quan to seize up and kind of deactivate. She's cleaning off his whole metal hull, and she is oiling all of these pieces, and we see Lee as he reaches his hand in and touches, and where there should be sparks, there should be light, there should be something. It's just kind of this low standby hum. And Cassidy is going to put her hands on Quan. And she's just going to start talking. And I think that we get an outpouring of some truth, some honesty, some hurt from Cassidy in this moment, where it's just her and Lee, and she's just voicing her hopes and frustrations with everything. She found this ship, bled on it, and blood stuck her here, and she hasn't fulfilled that vow. She has not fulfilled that promise to the Revenant. She was roped into being part of the Ebb because of this discovery she made. Blood continues to be this recurring theme of ambition, and she's no stranger to seeing blood spilled. She is a spy. She knows what certain information costs and what it takes to make your way up in a place like the Kyros Dominion. But lately, everything she's learned about these altars, about the past, about this sky iron, it just makes her so angry in a way that she's normally so level-headed and tactical and kind of removed. She stays kind of stoic. But in this, she's just forehead against the metal chest of Quan, and she's saying, I don't care if it would make this work. I'm not going to bleed and do this through blood, because this is more than that. And she grabs her familial bond stone and she holds it up and she places it against Quan, and she says, I don't know what I need to do, but Quan, I need you. And I think that she's going to reach out and she's going to, not that she can touch Lee Sterling's hand, but she holds it out for Lee to hold, and Lee is holding the sky iron inside of Quan, and she's just pressing her bond stone against his chest, and her forehead is against it, and she says, we can't do this without you. Rolling plus heart plus an additional 1. That's a 5 plus 2 for a 7 versus a 5 and a 2 on the challenge dice. We successfully develop our relationship, no strings attached, with Quan, bringing us up to 2 boxes. Not very much, but that's a big one. And slowly, quietly, Quan's sky iron core begins to glow. It spreads down and up and throughout their circuitry, and their eyes light up behind those bulbs. They stand up straighter to their full towering height, and they look down at Cassidy and Lee. I believe I know how to stop their blood magic. And that is where we are going to end this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you like what I'm doing here, please find me on the social medias. I have not been super active lately, but I hope to be back at it. I hit a little snag and momentum just totally halted, so getting that ball rolling again has been an effort, but I am so appreciative that you're here listening. If you want, you can email me at reneplaysgamespod@gmail.com. I'm always open to conversations about games that are on your radar, games that should be on mine. If you want to come on for an interview on Perspective Checks, anything like that, say hi. You can join the DMs After Dark Discord, where we're always hanging out, chatting games, movies, video games, you name it, any kind of books, everything over there. And it's a nice little community. And yeah, other than that, let's just wrap this one up nice and neat and say, until next time, don't push yourself too hard. Take a rest every now and then.